Today, it's not a military crisis or a global row, but an utterly modern British calamity, the closure of Heathrow Airport because of a power outage. And before you assume I'm joking, or that I've been deluded by some sort of social media post, this wasn't caused by a cyber attack or by a war, but by a fire in an electrical substation in Hayes. One small transformer exploded, and Britain's most important airport, Europe's busiest, folded like a deck chair in a light breeze. So much for the fabled Blitz spirit. And the fire broke out last night at an electrical substation that powers Heathrow, and it sent plumes of smoke into the sky, caused 16,000 homes to lose power, and most notably, completely paralysed Heathrow, and that paralysis will continue until midnight this evening. That's at least 1,300 flights cancelled or diverted, with 200,000 daily passengers left stranded, rerouted, or circling midair like caffeine-deprived bees. One Qantas flight from Perth has been redirected to Paris. A United flight from New York was sent to Shannon in Ireland, and astonishingly, some flights have been turned back entirely 9 hours into a journey, only to return their passengers to the starting point. Imagine explaining to a toddler at JFK, yes, darling, we were going to London, and now we're going back to Washington, D.C. again. The Heathrow spokesperson has been terse but cautious. The airport was shut until 23:59, quote, to maintain safety. That's a fine euphemism for we've no idea how long this will last, and we don't care because we don't put passengers first. We put the business model first, and we insurance costs would go through the roof if we dared to run a plane. Let's be clear, this isn't just a matter of mild inconvenience for tourists. Heathrow is an artery of global commerce. It connects the UK to over 200 destinations in nearly 90 countries and handled over 84 million passengers last year, its highest number on record. And in 2024, it was the world's second busiest international airport after Dubai. In other words, Heathrow going offline for a day is not like your local Sainsbury's losing power. It's closer to the stock exchange shutting down mid-trade. And what caused it? A transformer fire. One piece of critical infrastructure goes up in smoke, and poof, Britain's most strategic transport hub becomes an empty shell. And what can Heathrow do about it? Nothing, because Heathrow doesn't control the electrics. Herein lies the rub. We spent billions upgrading our aviation infrastructure, pushing for a third runway, boasting of our connectivity, but the entire edifice appears alarmingly brittle. There was no backup power, no redundancy, no contingency plan. Nothing robust enough to keep the lights on at Heathrow. At best, it's poor foresight. At worst, it's a metaphor for British infrastructure in 2025, overstretched, underfunded, and unable to handle shock. The London Fire Brigade, who did a sterling job in dangerous conditions, reported evacuating around 150 people, establishing a 200-metre cordon and keeping firefighters on scene throughout the night. But their brief was clear: put out the blaze. It was left to Scottish and Southern Electricity to explain the impact. Over 16,300 homes without power, with restoration estimates that are optimistic at best. Meanwhile, passengers found themselves in a purgatory of announcements, flight apps, and rebooking chaos. There's no stiff upper lips here, no keep calm and carry on, no Vera Lynn, just queues, chaos, and some quite colourful language. And perhaps that's the irony. During the Second World War, when bombs were raining down from the sky, Londoners slept in tube stations and got up to work the next morning. In 2025, a spark in Hayes and the entire Heathrow operation is rubbished in 24 hours. We might laugh at this. Many have. Social media has been awash with jokes about Hayes, the spark that brought Britain to its knees. But beneath the humour lies a serious question. How can a G7 nation have such a fragile grip on its critical infrastructure? What if this fire had occurred during the summer holidays? Or during a global crisis requiring rapid airlift? Or worse, what if it hadn't been an accident? Now, think about that. The British government, to its credit, has approved a third runway at Heathrow, but what good is more capacity if the airport can't keep the lights on? What we need is resilience, not expansion alone. Redundancy in power supply, infrastructure modernisation, and, dare I say, a hint of old-fashioned grit. And without that, what's a third runway? It's just another bit of real estate. We cannot afford to be a nation where one transformer disables global mobility. This isn't a story about a fire. It's a story about fragility. It's a story about resilience. A country that wants to be a global hub needs to think globally, and that means planning for the future. No more improvisation, no more patchwork, no more excuses, because next time it may not be a fire in Hayes, it may be something worse.